I never wanted Westgrove House. That's what I continue telling myself as I stand here gazing up at its imposing Victorian front. The late afternoon sun stretches long shadows across the lawn gone wild, draping the house in what looks like a veil of darkness. My name's Eleanor Webb, and just 3 weeks ago, I was an ordinary 28-year-old graphic designer going about my life in Boston. Then my great-aunt Agatha passed away, and nothing's been the same since. I'd met her on just 2 occasions, once when I was 7, and then again at my father's funeral 5 years ago. She was always distant, severe, with eyes that seemed to pierce through you rather than merely look at you. I distinctly recall how she gripped my wrist at the wake, whispering, "The blood remembers, Eleanor. The blood always remembers." Quite something, isn't it? The voice catches me off guard, and I spin around to find Mr. Blackwood, my great-aunt's solicitor, now standing beside me. He's rather thin, with skin like paper and wire-rimmed spectacles. "I suppose," I managed to say, "I still don't understand why she'd leave it to me." We were practically strangers. Mr. Blackwood offers a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. "Agatha had very particular wishes, you see. The house must remain with family. You were her sole living blood relative." The way he emphasizes blood sends an unpleasant chill across my skin. "Well," I reply, "I'll probably just sell it. I can't picture myself living here." Mr. Blackwood clears his throat delicately. "I'm afraid that won't be possible, Ms. Webb. At least not right away." I frown. "What do you mean by that?" "Perhaps we should go inside. There are certain conditions attached to your inheritance that require discussion." The key he hands me is heavy and ornately designed. It turns surprisingly smoothly in the lock, and the door swings open with a low groan. Stepping into Westgrove House feels like traveling backward through time. Tall windows are framed by heavy velvet drapes, antique furniture stands draped in white sheets like ghostly figures in the corners. The air carries the scent of mothballs, aged books, and something else I can't quite identify, something organic with a vaguely sweet undertone. "Right this way," Mr. Blackwood directs, guiding me into a sitting room. He pulls the sheet off a high-backed leather chair and motions for me to sit. "Ms. Webb, your great-aunt's will contains a rather unusual stipulation. You'll inherit Westgrove House along with her considerable estate, approximately $2 million, on one condition." I lean forward slightly. $2 million would certainly solve numerous problems. "What condition?" "You must reside in Westgrove House for a full year. You cannot be absent for more than 72 consecutive hours during this period. Should you fail to meet this requirement, the house and entire estate will be donated to the Blackwood Historical Society." I blink. "The Blackwood? As in your family?" He has the grace to appear somewhat embarrassed. "Yes, my grandfather established it. But I assure you, I had no part in Agatha's decision." "This is absurd," I declare, rising to my feet. "I can't simply abandon my entire life for a year to live in this mausoleum." "The choice remains yours, naturally," he responds, "though $2 million represents a considerable sum." I run my fingers through my hair. "So that's it? Just reside here for 12 months? Almost." He reaches into his briefcase and produces a thick document. "There's one additional matter, somewhat unusual, but Agatha was quite insistent." He flips through the pages, then indicates a paragraph highlighted in red. I lean closer to read it, and as I do, a chill traces down my spine. The clause reads simply yet bizarrely, "The inheritor must never, under any circumstances, remain in the east wing of the house between the hours of midnight and 1 a.m. This condition is non-negotiable and of utmost importance." I glance up at Mr. Blackwood, waiting for him to crack a smile, to reveal this is some sort of joke, but his expression remains gravely serious. "What happens if I do stay in the east wing after midnight?" I inquire. "The contract doesn't specify consequences," he says carefully. "Only that the condition is binding and non-negotiable." "Did my great-aunt explain why?" Mr. Blackwood's face remains impassive. "Agatha didn't share her reasons with me." I stare at the contract before me. Part of me wants to walk away, to tell Mr. Blackwood he can keep his creepy old house with whatever secrets it harbors. But $2 million, I could eliminate my student loans, purchase my own place, perhaps even launch that design studio I've always envisioned. And honestly, how difficult could it be to avoid one section of the house for a single hour each night? Fine, I say, accepting the pen he offers. I'll do it. As I sign my name, I can't shake the sensation that I'm committing to something terribly wrong. That night, I sleep in what was formerly my great-aunt's bedroom. I keep the bedside lamp illuminated, telling myself it's merely so I won't stumble finding the bathroom in darkness, not because the shadows in the corners appear to shift when I'm not looking directly at them. I dream of corridors that stretch and twist, of doors opening onto other doors, and somewhere in the distance, a clock tolling midnight. I jolt awake, heart pounding frantically. The bedside clock reads 3:17 a.m. The lamp I left on has extinguished, though moonlight filters through the gap in the curtains. And there's something else, a sound. A faint rhythmic creaking, like footsteps on aged wooden floors. I lie completely still, straining to hear. The sound ceases, then resumes. Closer now. It's approaching from the hallway outside my room. Hello. I call out, my voice embarrassingly thin. No response, just the creaking, halting just beyond my door. I watch, barely breathing, as the doorknob rotates slowly, almost imperceptibly. Then it stops. A long moment passes, and then the creaking begins again, retreating down the hallway. I don't sleep again that night. Morning makes me feel foolish. Old houses produce noises, everyone knows this. Floors settle, pipes knock, wind finds its way through window cracks. There's nothing supernatural about it. I spend the day exploring the ground floor, opening windows for fresh air, removing sheets from furniture, and noting what requires cleaning or repair. Evening approaches before I remember the east wing. I realize I've been unconsciously avoiding it as I stand at the entrance to a long hallway extending from the main part of the house. A set of double doors, intricately carved with leaf and vine patterns, separates it from where I stand. They're not locked, just closed, as though suggesting a boundary not to be crossed. But it's only 6 p.m., and the mysterious clause only applies after midnight. Surely there's no harm in looking now. I push open the doors, which move smoothly despite their apparent age and weight. The hallway beyond is darker, windows covered with heavy drapes. I flick a light switch, and antique wall sconces cast a warm yellow glow over faded wallpaper and more shrouded furniture. The east wing appears to consist mostly of bedrooms and sitting rooms, all decorated in the same Victorian style as the rest of the house. Nothing stands out as particularly unusual or threatening. So why the midnight restriction? In one room, larger than the others, I discover what seems to be a study. Bookshelves line the walls, filled with leather-bound volumes. A massive desk dominates the room's center. I'm about to leave when I notice a small leather-bound book tucked between two larger ones. Unlike the others, this one bears no title on its spine. Curious, I pull it out and open it to find handwritten pages in faded ink. A diary. The first entry is dated April 17, 1887. Westgrove is finally complete. After 3 years of construction, I can at last bring Margaret and the children to our new home. The east wing is particularly fine with views over the garden that will be spectacular once the landscaping is finished. I have set up my study there, where I can work undisturbed. The diary belongs to Jeremiah Westgrove, the house's original owner and my great-great-great-grandfather. I flip through more entries, mostly mundane accounts of social calls and family matters. But then, a few months later, the tone shifts. September 3, 1887. The dreams have begun again. I had hoped they would cease once we left England, but it seems they have followed me across the ocean. Last night, I woke at precisely midnight to find myself standing in my study, though I have no recollection of walking there. Margaret insists I sleepwalk, but I know it is more than that. I feel watched in that room, observed by eyes I cannot see. I feel a chill reading the next entry, dated a week later. September 10, 1887. It is no longer just sleepwalking. I hear voices in the study at night, whispers too faint to make out, but persistent. Margaret does not hear them. Last night, I forced myself to remain awake until midnight, sitting in my study. As the clock struck 12, the temperature in the room dropped so suddenly I could see my breath. And then I saw it, a shadow where no shadow should be, moving independently of any object in the room. I am not mad. There is something in Westgrove House. Something that has followed me from the old country. The entries continue, growing increasingly disturbed. Jeremiah describes phenomena escalating from shadows and whispers to objects moving on their own, strange smells, and eventually full apparitions, ghostly figures appearing in the east wing at midnight. The final entry is dated November 1, 1887. I have made a terrible mistake. The séance was meant to establish communication, to understand what they want from me. But I have opened a door that cannot be closed. They are not just spirits. They are hungry. And I have offered them a feast. Margaret and the children must leave Westgrove immediately. I will stay and find a way to contain what I have unleashed. If I fail, may God have mercy on my soul. The diary ends there. According to family history, Jeremiah Westgrove died in late 1887 of what was described as brain fever. His wife and children never returned to Westgrove, though the house remained in the family, eventually passing to my great-aunt Agatha. I check my watch, 7:30 p.m. The sun has set, and the study grows darker, corners filling with shadows that seem deeper than they should be. I suddenly feel an urgent need to leave the east wing. I return the diary to its place on the shelf and hurry back through the double doors, closing them firmly behind me. That night, I dream again of corridors and doors. But this time, at the end of every passage stands the study I found in the east wing. In each iteration of the dream, I enter the room to find a figure sitting at the desk, its back to me. I call out, and it begins to turn slowly, but I always wake before seeing its face. The next morning, I drive into Millfield, the small town nearest to Westgrove House. The local library is a modest brick building with Millfield Public Library, established 1891, carved above its entrance. The librarian, a silver-haired woman in her 60s, looks up from her desk as I enter. "Good morning," she says with a smile. "Haven't seen you around before." "I'm new to the area," I explain. "Just moved into Westgrove House." Her smile falters briefly. "Westgrove? You're Agatha Webb's relative then?" "Her great-niece." "Yes. Eleanor Webb. I'm Martha Crane. I knew your great-aunt, though not well. She kept to herself mostly. I was hoping to learn more about the house. Do you have any local history books or records I could examine?" Martha hesitates, then rises from her desk. "We have a local history section and some old newspapers on microfiche. I consider mentioning the diary, the strange clause in the will, but something holds me back. Just general information. The house has been in my family for generations, but I don't know much about its history." She leads me to a small room at the library's back, lined with shelves of leather-bound books and archival boxes. As she's about to leave, she asks, "Are you staying at Westgrove alone?" The question catches me off guard. "Yes." "Why?" She shakes her head. "No reason. It's just a big house for one person." I spend hours in that small room, poring over old town records and newspapers. I find the original plans for Westgrove House filed with the town in 1884. The east wing was part of the original design, though nothing in the plan suggests why it might be off-limits after midnight. Then, in the November 5, 1887 edition of the Millfield Gazette, I find a small obituary for Jeremiah Westgrove, who died on November 2, just one day after the final entry in his diary. I keep searching and discover something more intriguing. In the October 30, 1887 edition, a small article reads, "Local authorities were called to Westgrove House late last night after reports of unusual disturbances. Neighbors reported hearing unearthly screams and seeing lights moving in the east wing of the house. Mr. Westgrove assured constables that the commotion was merely a séance gone awry, part of a Halloween entertainment for guests. No charges were filed." A séance gone awry. Just like Jeremiah mentioned in his final diary entry. I continue searching through later newspapers and find something even more disturbing. In March 1888, 4 months after Jeremiah's death, the headline reads, "Tragedy at Westgrove House, Caretaker Found Dead." The article describes how Thomas Collins, hired to maintain the vacant property, was found dead in the East Wing study, his face frozen in an expression of utmost terror. The coroner's official ruling was heart failure, though the article notes that Collins was only 36 with no history of heart problems. Over the next 50 years, I find 6 more incidents of deaths or disappearances connected to Westgrove House. All involving caretakers or trespassers, all occurring in the East Wing, all happening late at night. The last reported incident was in 1943 when the house passed to my great-aunt Agatha. By the time I leave the library, it's late afternoon. Martha looks up as I pass her desk. "Find what you were looking for?" she asks. "Some of it," I say, then hesitate before adding, "Do you know anything about strange occurrences at Westgrove? Deaths or disappearances?" Martha's expression grows serious. "There are stories," she admits. "Most people around here won't go near Westgrove after dark." "What kind of stories?" "They say the East Wing is haunted. That something was brought into this world that shouldn't have been, something that wakes at midnight and hungers for, well, for human life." "But they're just stories," she adds quickly. "But the deaths were real," I counter. "I found the newspaper articles." Martha sighs. "Yes, those were real. But old houses have accidents, gas leaks, faulty wiring, people fall. 7 people over 50 years, all in the same part of the house, all at night." She doesn't answer directly. Instead, she asks, "Did your great-aunt ever say anything about the house? About why she lived there alone all those years?" I think about the clause in the will. "Not to me. We weren't close." Martha nods. Agatha Webb was a strange woman, but she knew things. People in town respected her, feared her a little. She knew how to handle Westgrove. Handle it? What does that mean? Martha glances at the clock on the wall. "It's getting late. You should head back before dark." That night, I make sure to lock the double doors leading to the East Wing before going to bed. The key is an old iron thing that turns with a heavy clunk in the lock. I tell myself it's merely a precaution, that I don't genuinely believe in ghosts or whatever might lurk in the East Wing at midnight. But I still sleep with the bedside lamp on. I wake at 11:45 p.m., the time glowing red on the digital clock beside my bed. At first, I'm uncertain what woke me. Then I hear it, a soft rhythmic tapping, like fingernails against wood. It's coming from the double doors leading to the East Wing. Tap, tap, tap. Pause. Tap, tap, tap. I lie frozen in bed, my heart hammering in my chest. It's just the wind, I tell myself. Old houses make noises. But as I watch the clock hands inch toward midnight, the tapping grows more insistent, more rhythmic. Tap, 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 tap. At 11:55, it stops. The sudden silence is almost worse than the tapping. I strain to listen, holding my breath. Then I hear a new sound, a soft click, like a key turning in a lock. The double doors. I'd locked them. I know I had. But now I hear the creak of hinges, the whisper of wood against carpet. The doors are opening. I should go check. I should grab something heavy to defend myself. There must be an intruder in the house. But I can't move, can't bring myself to leave the relative safety of my bed. The clock reads 11:58. 1 minute to midnight. I hear footsteps now, slow and deliberate, moving through the main part of the house toward my bedroom. They don't sound like human footsteps, they're too heavy, too measured, as if whatever walks weighs far more than any person should. 11:59, the footsteps stop outside my door. I stare at the doorknob, waiting for it to turn, but nothing happens. Just silence, heavy and expectant. The clock ticks over to 12 o'clock. Midnight. And then I hear it, a voice so close it could be right beside my ear, whispering, "Eleanor." I scream, scrambling out of bed and backing against the wall. The room is empty. The door remains closed. But the voice comes again from everywhere and nowhere. "Eleanor, come to the study. We've been waiting for you." The lamp beside my bed flickers, then goes out, plunging the room into darkness save for the red glow of the clock. 12:01. Something cold brushes against my cheek, like fingertips made of ice. I scream again and lunge for the door, yanking it open and running blindly down the hallway. I have to get out, have to escape this house and whatever inhabits it. But as I reach the main staircase, I stop. Below, in the entrance hall, shadows are moving, swirling like smoke, but darker, more substantial. They're blocking the front door, my escape route. I back away, looking frantically for another way out. The voice whispers again, seeming to come from the very walls around me. "Yes, Eleanor, come to us. It's where you belong." Terrified but seeing no alternative, I run in the opposite direction, away from both the shadows and the east wing. There must be another way out, a back door, a window, something. I find myself in the kitchen, moonlight streaming through uncurtained windows. There's a door here that leads outside. I rush to it, grabbing the handle and turning. It's locked. I fumble with the deadbolt, my fingers clumsy with fear. Behind me, I hear the whispers growing louder, closer. The shadows are coming. The bolt finally slides back, and I wrench the door open, stumbling out into the cool night air. I don't stop running until I reach my car, fumbling with the keys with shaking hands. The engine starts on the first try, and I speed down the driveway away from Westgrove House. I end up at a small motel on Millfield's outskirts. In the harsh fluorescent light of the motel room, my fear begins to seem ridiculous. Had I truly fled my own house because of some strange noises and tricks of light? Perhaps I'd been dreaming. Or perhaps the stress of inheriting a house I never wanted, of uprooting my life, had gotten to me. The voice had seemed so real, calling my name, telling me to come to the study. And the shadows in the entrance hall. Still, I don't return to Westgrove that night. In the morning, I wake to sunlight streaming through thin curtains. In daylight, my fear seems even more irrational. I need to get a grip. If I'm going to fulfill the will's conditions and claim my inheritance, I need to find a way to live in Westgrove House. The answer is simple. I just won't enter the east wing between midnight and 1 a.m. Whatever I experienced last night, whatever spooked me, I don't have to face it. I just have to follow the rules. I check out of the motel and drive back to Westgrove, stopping in town to buy supplies, groceries, cleaning products, and on impulse, a set of new locks for the double doors leading to the east wing. I also pick up some sage bundles from a new age shop on the town square. The owner, a woman with gray dreadlocks and multiple crystal necklaces, gives me a knowing look when I tell her where I live. Westgrove needs more than sage, honey, she says, but doesn't elaborate. When I return to the house, everything is exactly as I left it. The kitchen door stands open. I have a vague memory of not pulling it closed in my haste to escape. Inside, the house is quiet, ordinary. Sunlight streams through the windows, dust motes dancing in the beams. Nothing seems threatening or strange. I spend the day keeping busy, cleaning, putting away groceries, changing the locks on the double doors to the east wing. I don't go beyond those doors, though. Not today. That night, I ensure all windows and doors are locked, the new deadbolt on the east wing doors securely fastened. I've bought a small white noise machine playing ocean waves, which I set up beside my bed to mask any strange house noises. Despite these precautions, I lie awake for hours, tense and listening. But midnight comes and goes without incident, no tapping, no whispers, no moving shadows. Eventually, I drift into uneasy sleep. The next few days follow a similar pattern. I explore more of the house, though still avoiding the east wing, and begin making it somewhat livable. I set up my laptop and work remotely on freelance design projects. I meet locals in town who regard me with curiosity but are generally friendly. No one mentions Westgrove's reputation directly, but I catch the looks they exchange when they think I'm not watching. And at night, I lock the east wing doors, turn on my white noise machine, and attempt to sleep. Sometimes I hear things, creaks and groans that could be the house settling or could be something else. But nothing like that first night happens again. I begin to think perhaps it was just my imagination after all. Until the 7th night. I wake suddenly, the white noise machine silent. Power outage, I think groggily, before noticing the digital clock still glows, 11:55 p.m. The machine has been turned off, not unplugged. And I can hear something, music, faint but distinct, coming from somewhere in the house. It's an old song played on what sounds like a phonograph, the kind with a hand crank and brass horn. The melody is familiar yet just out of reach, something classical, mournful. I lie perfectly still, listening. The music is coming from the east wing, specifically from the study. I should ignore it, lock my bedroom door, insert earplugs, wait for 1 a.m. to pass. That would be sensible. Instead, I find myself getting out of bed, drawn by curiosity stronger than fear. The music continues, sometimes fading as if the phonograph needs winding, then growing stronger again. As I step into the hallway, I notice a faint light coming from beneath the double doors to the east wing. Not electric light, but the warm, flickering glow of candles or fire. I approach slowly, bare feet silent on the carpet. The new deadbolt I installed is unlocked, though I know I locked it before bed. The key remains in my bedside drawer. I push the door open a crack and peer through. The hallway beyond is lit by candles and wall sconces, their flames perfectly still, as if the air itself holds its breath. The music is louder now, unmistakably coming from the study at the end of the hall. And there's something else, voices, multiple voices engaged in quiet conversation, punctuated occasionally by soft laughter. It sounds like a party. I should close the door, return to my room. But something compels me forward into the east wing toward the study. The voices grow clearer as I approach, though I still can't make out what they're saying. It sounds like English, but with an older cadence, formal and slightly stilted. The study door stands ajar, golden light spilling into the hallway. I reach it and slowly, carefully peer inside. The room is transformed. Gone are the dusty sheets and faded wallpaper. The study looks new, or rather old, but well maintained, as it might have appeared in the late 1800s when first built. A fire crackles in the fireplace, casting warm glow over polished wood and leather-bound books. And the room is full of people, men in formal evening wear, women in long dresses with high collars, all holding glasses of amber liquid that catch the firelight. They're engaged in animated conversation, seemingly unaware of my presence. In the corner, a phonograph plays that haunting melody. At the center, standing by the fireplace, is a man I recognize from old photographs I found in the library, Jeremiah Westgrove, my ancestor, the original owner of the house. But that's impossible. He died in 1887, over 130 years ago. As I watch, frozen in disbelief, the clock on the mantel begins to chime midnight. The conversation stops abruptly. As one, every person in the room turns to look at me. Their eyes are wrong. Black, entirely black, no whites, no irises, just bottomless pits of darkness. Jeremiah smiles, revealing teeth too sharp, too numerous. "Eleanor," he says, his voice the same whisper I heard that first night. "You finally joined us. We've been waiting so long." The other guests, things, not people, I realize with growing horror, begin moving toward me. Their movements jerky, unnatural, like puppets with half their strings cut. They're speaking now, all at once, a cacophony of whispers, blood of our blood. The last Westgrove. The doorway must be opened. Midnight is the thinning time. I back away, unable to scream, my throat closed with terror. As I retreat, their forms seem to flicker, sometimes appearing as well-dressed Victorian socialites, sometimes as something else entirely, gaunt, elongated figures with too many joints, their skin pale and translucent, showing shadows of organs that pulse and writhe beneath. They follow me into the hallway, their movements becoming more fluid, more predatory. I turn and run, hearing them behind me, their whispers growing to a roar. I reach the double doors and slam them shut, fumbling for the key I didn't bring. Behind me, Something hits the door with tremendous force, making the wood bulge inward. I abandon locking it and run for the front door instead. But as I reach the main hallway, I skid to a stop. The entrance hall is filled with the same swirling shadows I saw that first night, but now they're taking shape, forming into figures similar to those in the study, reaching for me with hands like twisted branches. I'm trapped. The clock finishes its 12th chime, and the shadows surge forward. In desperation, I run for the stairs, taking them 2 at a time. Behind me, I hear the double doors to the east wing burst open, the splintering of wood and the rush of cold air. The things from the study pour into the main house, joining with the shadow figures. I reach the second floor and run blindly down the hallway, searching for somewhere to hide. Most doors are locked, but one gives way under my hand, a bathroom, small, but with a solid door and an old-fashioned lock that slides into place with a heavy click. I lock myself in just as something slams against the other side, making the door shudder in its frame. Outside, the whispers continue, growing more frantic, more hungry. Open the door, Eleanor. We only want to talk. We've been so lonely. Just until 1 o'clock, then we'll let you go. Promise. Blood of our blood. The door begins to warp, the wood groaning as if under enormous pressure. The lock rattles, then begins sliding back on its own. I grab it, holding it in place with all my strength, but it continues moving slowly, inexorably. And then suddenly everything stops. The pressure on the door ceases. The whispers fall silent. I hear a clock somewhere in the house chime once, 1 a.m. I wait, barely breathing, for several minutes. Nothing happens. Finally, I gather courage and peek through the keyhole. The hallway outside is empty, normal, lit only by the faint glow of a nightlight I'd plugged in earlier. I unlock the door and step out cautiously. The house is silent, except for the usual creaks and settles of an old building. Whatever was trying to reach me is gone, at least for now. I make my way downstairs to check the east wing doors. They're intact, showing no sign of the violence I'd heard, no splintered wood, no broken hinges. The new deadbolt is locked. The key still in my bedside drawer where I left it. Had I dreamed the whole thing? Hallucinated it? I don't think so. The terror was too real, the details too vivid. Something happened at midnight. Something I can't explain. I don't sleep again that night. In the morning, I drive to the library as soon as it opens. Martha looks up in surprise as I rush in. Eleanor, you look, she stops, perhaps not wanting to tell me how terrible I must appear after a sleepless night. Are you all right? I need to know more about Westgrove, I say without preamble. About what happens there at midnight. About what Jeremiah Westgrove did. Martha glances around the empty library, then nods. Come to my office. Her office is a small room behind the circulation desk, crammed with books and papers. She closes the door and gestures for me to sit. You saw something, she says, not a question. I nod, too exhausted to lie. In the east wing at midnight. People, things that looked like people from the 1800s. And Jeremiah Westgrove was there. Martha sighs heavily. I was afraid of this. The cycle is beginning again. What cycle? What's happening in that house? How much do you know about your family history? About why Jeremiah Westgrove came to America? I shake my head. Not much. Just that he was a businessman from England who built Westgrove in the 1880s. Martha opens a drawer and pulls out an old leather-bound book. This isn't in the library collection. It's been passed down through my family for generations. My great-great-grandfather was Thomas Collins. The name strikes a chord. The caretaker who died in the house. Yes. Before he took the job at Westgrove, he was Jeremiah's valet, brought over from England. He knew things about the family that never made it into public records. She opens the book, revealing handwritten pages. According to this, the Westgroves weren't just wealthy industrialists in England. They were members of a secret society, occultists who believed they could communicate with entities from elsewhere. Not spirits of the dead, but something older. Something that exists in the spaces between worlds. I think of the diary I found, of Jeremiah's mention of a seance gone wrong. What kind of entities? The kind that hunger for our world, for our reality. The kind that need a doorway to enter. She turns a page, revealing a detailed drawing of a circular symbol filled with strange angular writing. This is the seal of opening. Jeremiah Westgrove came to America not just to expand his business interests, but to escape scandal in England. Apparently, one of their rituals went wrong, resulting in several deaths. But he couldn't escape what he'd started. The entities followed him, growing stronger as they found ways to influence our world. The east wing of Westgrove House, particularly the study, was built according to specific measurements, creating a kind of thin spot between worlds. And at midnight, it becomes thinner, I say, remembering the whispers. Midnight is the thinning time. Martha nods. Between midnight and 1 a.m., the barrier is at its weakest. That's when they can manifest most strongly, when they can affect our world directly. But what do they want? They kept talking about blood, about me being the last Westgrove. She gives me a grave look. According to my ancestors' writings, these entities can fully enter our world under specific conditions. They need a doorway, the East Wing study at midnight. And they need a gatekeeper, someone of Westgrove blood, who willingly invites them through. I would never. Not willingly, perhaps. But they are persuasive, deceptive. They can appear as loved ones, offer things you desire most. And they've been trying for generations, growing stronger each time, learning more about how to manipulate humans. I think of how they appeared as Victorian socialites. How they tried to lure me into the study. What happens if they succeed? If they fully enter our world? Martha's expression is grim. Thomas believed they would consume everything, starting with Millfield and spreading outward. They feed on life, on consciousness. They would leave nothing but empty husks behind. I sit back, trying to process this information. It sounds insane, like something from a horror movie or pulp novel. But after what I've seen, I can't dismiss it. So what do I do? I'm contractually obligated to live in that house for a year. Your great-aunt Agatha found a way to contain them, Martha says. She was a student of the occult herself, but she used her knowledge defensively. There are protections in the house, symbols carved into door frames, special mixtures in the paint, that sort of thing. They kept the entities confined to the East Wing during her lifetime. But now they're getting out, I say, remembering the shadows in the entrance hall. Yes. The protections are failing without someone to maintain them. Agatha must have known this would happen when she died. So she left the house to you with that clause about staying out of the East Wing at midnight. Martha nods. She was trying to protect you while ensuring someone of Westgrove blood remained in the house. The entities are bound to the bloodline that summoned them. As long as a Westgrove lives in the house but denies them access, they remain trapped in a kind of limbo, unable to fully enter our world. But if you leave, they grow stronger, more able to affect the physical world. Eventually, they might lure someone else into the East Wing at midnight, someone they can manipulate into inviting them through. So I'm stuck there, keeping watch over monsters that want to use me as a gateway. Unless you can find a way to banish them permanently. I look up sharply. Is that possible? Martha hesitates. Thomas believed so. He wrote about a counter-ritual, a way to seal the doorway forever. But it would have to be performed in the study at midnight by someone of Westgrove blood. Where I'm specifically not supposed to be, I say with grim humor. Yes. And it would be dangerous. The entities would do everything in their power to stop you, to corrupt the ritual and use it to their advantage instead. She closes the book and hands it to me. Take this. Study it. There's more information about the counter-ritual, about how Agatha contained them for so long. It might help. I accept the book, feeling its weight, both physical and metaphorical. Thank you. As I stand to leave, Martha catches my arm. Be careful, Eleanor. These things, they're patient. They've waited over a century. They'll say anything, show you anything to get what they want. That night, I read Thomas Collins' book from cover to cover. It contains detailed accounts of the phenomena at Westgrove House, sketches of strange symbols used in both the original ritual and the proposed counter-ritual, and personal observations about the entity's nature. According to Thomas, they aren't evil in the human sense, they're simply alien, operating according to rules and desires having nothing to do with human morality. They want entry to our world the way a starving person wants food, with single-minded desperation. The counter-ritual involves a complex sequence of symbols drawn in specific materials, incantations in a language I don't recognize, and most disturbingly, a blood sacrifice from the Westgrove descendant. Not fatal, but enough to seal the symbols and close the doorway permanently. I stay out of the East Wing entirely that day, and as midnight approaches, I lock myself in my bedroom, placing Thomas's book and various protective items, salt, iron nails, symbols drawn from the book, around the room's perimeter. Nothing happens at midnight. No whispers, no music, no shadowy figures trying to break down my door. I should be relieved, but instead I'm uneasy. Are they?